Thank you for being here with me.
My
So, could you
pleasure.
tell us a little bit about the new policy that passed yesterday, House Bill
316.
316?
Yeah, that's our bill that was introduced in the House. So
Okay.
now we'll go over to the Senate. It passed yesterday. But that'll bring in new voting machines for all Georgians. We've been using the existing electronic voting machines since 2002. So our machines we have right now are 17 years old. They need to be upgraded. And so we'll be replacing those with new machines that will look like a touch screen like we have right now. And after you make your selections, when you press that button, it'll be to print the ballot as opposed to cast the ballot. And then I'll print out a paper ballot so that you as the voter can make sure that you did get it right. And then you can walk over to the optical scanner, and that's where your ballot will be counted. And more importantly, then it drops into the box so you can do a physical recount, and then we can come back and we can do an audit of the election. And the purpose of the audit is to make sure that when you have those elections, particularly when they're close elections, the person that won knows that they truly did win, and the person that lost knows that they truly did lose. And so then, people can move on to something else instead of arguing about the election results.
Right, and definitely that, with the issues and the controversial issues with the gubernatorial election last year, that will definitely secure the integrity of the race. So
we put that type of thing all behind us, and we move forward like we always do in Georgia.
Absolutely. As Secretary of State, how are you going to help to grow the businesses in Georgia, because it remained #1 for the 6th year in a row now?
So our goal is to make Georgia the best place to do business 7 years in a row, 8, 9, and 10.
Absolutely.
And so that's a big task, set before us. Obviously, business is doing very well in the metropolitan Atlanta region. The Savannah port is exploding. Tourism is exploding there, and also SCAD, adds that halo of the arts. And so Savannah's doing quite well. Houston County and Augusta with cybersecurity. I have a manufacturing plant in Columbus, and one of the things I was down there last Friday talking to some of the business leaders. How do we help places like Columbus and other parts of the state grow? And that's one of the things that's the mission for obviously the governor, but I think that's for all of our constitutional officers like myself. So one of the things that we want to do, the Secretary of State's office oversees business licensing. And so whenever people move here from another state to Georgia, we want to streamline reciprocity. So if you're a licensed professional in another state, so to let you get your reciprocity here so you can practice your profession here in Georgia. And that's particularly important for military families. So a military person can move here to Georgia, but then their spouse may be hung up because they were licensed in another state. So we can improve the reciprocity for a military spouse. I think that really shows that the welcome mat has been laid out for people that are wanting to engage in their profession. We have right now over 500,000 people that are in a licensed profession, and we have over 140 different licensed professions and 40 different boards. So that's very important that we can streamline that with reciprocity.
And I think that's a great idea too, especially for the military wives. I have several, colleagues that are military wives, and their main concern is being able to work. When they, transport to the place that they're going, and I think that's a really great idea to really have with that policy. Now, for the South Georgia area, do you foresee any bigger corporations coming to that area?
Well, and when we're talking about, for example, Columbus, if you look at what they have, first of all, they have Fort Benning. So Fort Benning would have an interest in robotics, and they're using that in a lot of the military applications. So how could you actually get robotics manufacturing to locate to Columbus, Georgia? And I think that would be a very exciting initiative to take a look at.
Absolutely.
And how do you also leverage that you have TSYS, Total Systems? They started, credit card processing. They were one of the nation's leaders right there, and so that you have that already embedded into the Columbus area. SunTrust Bank goes back to Columbus over 100 years ago, and so how do you leverage that? So now when you then look at what can you do for the Valdosta area, what are the key areas? What were the building blocks for what you already have in place in Valdosta, and how do we leverage that to attract other businesses? And that's something that you really have to look at city by city, region by region area. You know, Savannah obviously has its port and tourism. You know, Valdosta, you have fantastic, you know, interstate access. So how do you leverage that for transportation, distribution, and then you have Valdosta State University.
Right.
And so you have some, you know, great building blocks, Georgia. And how do we leverage off of, you know, our agricultural infrastructure?
That's great. Well, thank you for the initiatives that you're doing it thus far and getting ready to do as well. And I appreciate you interviewing with me.
Well, thank you. Hope you have a great day up here at the Capitol.
Absolutely.